Wow, what a turnout. This is Nate Lindquist, and I'm here with Margaret.
Hello, everybody.
Wow, what an amazing turnout. Welcome to the live Q&A FlipChick Financial Freedom Roadmap. Oh, I'm excited. I'm
excited.
I'm a little giddy. This is to see the turnout on this call is so exciting for us. You know, when we got into building this program, we were so driven. I know Margaret was driven when she started through the process, building it initially and then rebuilding it and launching it, to know that we're committed, and we've always been committed to empowering women to divorce their day job, to start flipping real estate, to take control of your financial future. We're not going to take control, but you are. Just to be clear, to be able to have this opportunity to serve you and be here for you in this way is such an amazing gift. And we're so excited to have you here. And so as we get started, I just want to let you know, I want to set some expectations about this call. First of all, there is just a huge turnout. The number of flip chicks and women who are ready to be flip chicks, who have signed up and grabbed a seat for this training, for this live Q&A, is just astounding. So anything you want to add, Margaret, before we get started? Because I'm just pumped. Show of hands, how many of you are excited to be here in the company of so many powerful women, to just feel the energy? I mean, there are just dozens and dozens of you on this call. Margaret, what is this like?
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing people who step up. You know, there's so many things that you could be doing with your evening. And we want to respect the fact that you took time out of your busy schedules, away from your family, your obligations, to spend some time with us. So we appreciate that. We honor you for that. And we really are glad that you're here.
This is awesome. Thank you for coming. You know, thank you for deciding that, you know, taking your time, being present with us is important too. One thing, I know some of you I've spoken to, many of you we have not spoken to. And I just want to say to you that, you know, if you all believe that it's possible to be with someone but not be present. So when you're with your kids and your families, is it possible to not be present? And is it, you know, when you're with someone you love and you're having an experience, how many times do you find that you have your cell phone open, or you have your email open, or you're tapping on your computer, you've got, you know, 10 windows open? This is one of those times where you have access to a call where we're going to answer any one of your questions. We're also going to take you through, just give you some insight into the financial freedom formula, really give you a roadmap. And I'm going to ask you, because I can see on this call, I'm doing my big brother thing. I'm a flip chick too, okay? I have no problem admitting that. I'm proud of embracing this, and I'm going to tell you, I can see who has other windows open and who's completely present and only is looking at this call.
It's true.
I can tell. I get a little notification, your name blinks, and I can see who's with us and who's really excited to be here and who's got other stuff going on. So you do whatever you want. It's not up to me where you put your attention, but I will tell you this. Only, actually fewer than, it's about 7.5% of people who buy a book actually read past the first chapter. And ready for this? Fewer than 15% of the people who are reading a book are actually absorbing the information that they're reading. And fewer than 1% actually do anything with what they learn. So there's some statistics for you. So if you decided to carve the time out to be here on this call and you are not completely present, then you need to look at the rest of the things going on in your life and decide, maybe could this be the night where you exercise your focus muscle and learn something awesome? Because if you don't ask the questions, if you don't really dive in and ask us the questions, then you might not get the answer. So now's your chance.
And no matter how new you are or how experienced you are, there's a question that you probably have on your mind or in the back of your mind that would benefit somebody else on the call in a huge way. So if you think, oh, I hope somebody asks this question, be that somebody to ask the question. I promise you that there are no dumb questions. There's no too simple, oh, I'm new and I'm not even sure what question to ask, or I've been doing this and, maybe the questions I have are too complex. Ask the questions. We want to address everything.
I'm seeing questions start to pop in, and as we see them pop in, our team is going to share those questions with us, and we're going to answer those questions as we go through. But first, we have a little presentation for you, just to tee it up.
Keep the questions coming, though.
Keep typing in the questions. Just keep going. Any question you have. How do you find the money? And we're going to go through the formula. We're going to show you the roadmap. I'm going to tell you a story. So I went to Lafayette Campground. I was going to go do the Lafayette Trail, which is part of the Appalachian Mountain Club Trail. And I decided I wanted to be on the Appalachian Trail, and I wanted to climb up to Kinsman Ridge, navigate across by all the little huts they have up there, and I wanted to make it down the other side, and I only had about 4 hours to do it. So I tell you this story for a reason. You're going to find I love telling stories. So I landed, we drove in. I like to say landed, just something I say. We drove into the parking lot. A really good friend of mine drove into the parking lot. His name's Craig, and you'll hear him come up from time to time. He's also one of our client happiness managers. And we love to go out and have adventures. So we're up in the White Mountains. We pull into the parking lot, and we got to the to this, what do you call that? The trailhead, and you look for a trailhead map, and there were no trailhead maps. We really wanted to have a great experience, and we wanted to do this for about 4 hours. And we started seeing, the weather, the sky was kind of darkening up. We started to have a little bit of fear and concern because we knew we were going up several thousand feet. We knew we were about to go after something big because we knew it was important to us. It's a goal that we had set. We wanted to have this experience. How many of you, quick show of hands, have had something in front of you that you want to achieve? And this was one of the peaks that we wanted to achieve. And you have a goal just like that, something you want to achieve. You bring the equipment, you show up, and you just really want to overcome this. And just looking at the mountain and looking at the steepness of even the first part of the trail where you have a little bit of fear. How many of you find yourself facing something that you want to accomplish and you have a little fear? What I'd like you to do is just go ahead and put up your hands. Can you see where to raise your hand? I'm going to put all the hands down. Go ahead. Raise your hand if you face something that has you feeling fear. Just a quick show of hands. Wow, I see a lot of hands going up.
Good, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, we have it happen all the time. And the thing is, I like to do something every day that scares me. Comfort zone is the dangerous place to live. When you're in your comfort zone, it doesn't mean you can't be in your wheelhouse. But I got to tell you, when you're up to bat, when you're in your wheelhouse, that's where that comes from, and you're swinging the bat, you're in an uncomfortable place because what if you miss? Right? What if you swing and you miss and you're aiming for a home run? So we're at the bottom of that trail, okay? And we didn't have a trail map, and we started the hike. We didn't have milestones. We didn't know the stats. We didn't know what we were going for. We didn't know how long it was going to be between each of the milestones. We didn't have a road map, a trail map. And as we went up, we were tired. And here's what happened. We got about a quarter of the way through the hike, and we didn't even know it. We'd been hiking for about, ready for this? We're a quarter of the way for the hike. We've been hiking for 2.5 hours. And what happened is one of the guys on the trail handed us a map. He said, hey, listen, I'm done. I'm on my way down. He was doing the trail the other way. He goes, here's my road map. And when we saw where we were and we knew what we had to do, we knew what we had to accomplish. And we had someone who told us, hey, if you just look at this map, you'll be okay. By the way, you got about 6 hours left of this hike. And the snow was coming in. But you know what? There's ladders. And the trail's okay. And you guys can do it. Here's your map. You'll find your way. Here's where you are. There's a little star that shows you where you are. And sure enough, about 5.5 hours later, after braving a tremendous snowstorm in shorts and T-shirts, not knowing what we were facing, and the temperature dropped down into the 30s, we got our way back down to that parking lot, and we had accomplished our goal. But if we hadn't gotten that map, we were incredibly discouraged. As a matter of fact, we were considering turning around. So we're giving you access to a map, to a road map, and we want to give you the opportunity to be successful in your flipping experience, investing in real estate, and we'll give you the chance to ask the questions so we can answer them, so we can help move you forward. So you have the certainty that comes from and Margaret's already navigated this trail, and she's already made the mistakes, and she's already thought, oh, I think I'll do this, and maybe that's the right way, and it was the wrong way. And she's figured it out, and she's made a map. And together, we're bringing you the very best of what she's done to hit these goals, and a little bit of what I've done in business. And we want to make sure that you're successful in the process. So again, thanks for being here. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about what is possible. As we give you the roadmap, I want to sort of prepare you to think about what is possible. Because you're here because there's something you want to accomplish, and you have a level of excitement and enthusiasm. So I want to give Margaret a chance to share. When the going gets tough, flipping is possible. And a quick story from Margaret. I've shared a little bit about why we're here for you. And I've kept it kind of short because I'm going to have Margaret share just a little bit about why she's here for you and what it looked like when things were impossible. They felt impossible and the going was tough. she didn't have any money in the bank and she had a responsibility of a child. What does that look like to you, Margaret?
You know, I think no matter what your situation is right now, everybody who's on the call, you're here because you have an interest in this flipping business. And, you know, we joke, we say, yeah, it's about flipping, but it's not really about flipping. It's about what is it in your life that you want to be different. And I've had several times in my life where I needed to make some serious changes in my life. You know, for those of you who have heard a little bit about my story, I was a single teenage mom. I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do my waitressing job. Then I would work my 9 to 5 job, and then I would go to school at night. And it was not easy. It was really tough. I didn't get a lot of sleep. As some of you know, we have a new baby, so I'm a bit of back in that stage of not getting a lot of sleep and working a bit hard. But what happens is when you have a strong enough desire to whatever your goal is, you know, everyone who's on this call right now, you have something in your mind that you want to work towards. And when that desire is strong enough, you're going to find the way. I'll tell you that like Nate talked about the roadmap. I didn't have a roadmap. The reality TV shows 10 years ago were not as prevalent as they are now. It was, let me figure out, I cannot spend another minute away from my kids. I can't spend another week doing a 9 to 5 job. I can't, you know, have another night where somebody else is putting my kids to sleep. I need to get my life back. And I went out there. I tried things that I'd never done before. I messed up a lot. I learned a lot. And what I've done is I've taken all of those learnings and I've put them into a system, not just a system to teach you guys. This was a system to teach myself. You know, I would go out and I would buy a house. I would fix it up. I would sell it. I would make probably 50% mistakes in the first houses I would do. Then I would learn from it. And I got to a point where it got pretty easy. You know, I was following a system. And as tough as things are for you, I promise you that what we've put together for you is going to make it as easy as possible to be successful in flipping houses.
And we're not going to make the assumption, too, that things are tough for you. Some of you might already be successful. Some of you, I know from conversations, have already bought and sold real estate. But you're here because you wanted to learn more. You want to take it to the next level, regardless of the level you're coming to us at. You know, whether you've done it or you're sitting there saying, I don't even know where to begin.
And that's true. So fast forward, I've been doing the flipping for a few years, and then I get to where I start building a rental portfolio. So as tough as it is sometimes to not have a lot, there's challenges when you start to grow your business. And I say challenges. I always think a challenge is a good thing. You know, I want a good challenge. It's gonna help me to, you know, it's gonna remind me of what I need to do to be the best version of me. So I've had times throughout the business where I will be faced with a challenge. It's a quality challenge. You know, hey, I need to hire a new property manager because I have a dozen houses in a new area, and you know, I'm not going to have somebody manage it who's not the absolute best. You know, there's good challenges. So those of you who are already flipping, who already have rental portfolios, there's huge learnings too as we go through the business.
Absolutely. So I'm inspired to be here. All of you here are inspiring me the way that you stepped up. So I want to share something with you to make sure. Let's just make sure that you understand what it means to follow your calling, and then we're going to dive right in, because I know all of you are really about meat and potatoes. So we're not going to, we're going to spend a whole lot of time, into storytelling and stuff like that. It's important. I think it's important to know the background, but we've done that. So now let's get in and let's get you flipping homes. Fair enough?
Woohoo.
Let's do it. So knowing your...
Can I tell a quick story?
You can. You're the boss.
So...
I'm only the CEO.
Speed of implementation. So I'm going to tell you a story from our real life going on right now. So yesterday, as you know, my husband and I just had a baby, and we had an epiphany. Maybe
do you know who the husband is? I just don't know.
This guy.
I'm Nate. I'm the husband, in case you're wondering. I've gotten that question all day today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got the question. Like it sounds like you're talking about her like she's your wife.
It's true.
Evidence is
I am
there.
the wife. So
I do have a boss here.
I'm the boss. I'm the wife, and I'm the boss. So we just had a new baby, which brings that up to 6. So we had our 6th baby. We have a blended family, and we hired an au pair about a month ago, and we realized that we have a trip coming up and we don't have enough seats in the car. So I said, well, we need to go find a car that has 8 seats in it so we can fit all of the kids and us and be comfortable. And so I went out this morning, not even this morning, this late afternoon, had the idea this morning, went out this late afternoon, and right now in our driveway, we have a new minivan that has 8 seats.
I haven't even seen it yet.
He hasn't even seen it. He didn't know that it was coming home today. But when you make a decision, when you realize that something needs to change, why would you take any longer than you need to? Why would you, hem and haw, think about it? Just go do it. So we say often in our family, in our life, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's once you make a decision, you follow through with it. This happened, again, I'll tell you another story. Last week, we found out that one of our tenants had stopped paying and had just been evicted. My property manager didn't tell us right away. I mean, it was like a week that the property sat empty. And we had some decisions to make. Do we continue to rent it? It was a property, for those of you who are a little familiar with our weekly calls and who are in the know on some of the deals that I've got going on. It was a property that we had intended to flip. Those of you who are students already, you know that there's always multiple exit strategies. So this was a property where we had to take our plan B and take a intended flip and turn it into a rental so we could cash flow it. And now that the property was empty, we decided that we were going to sell it. So on Friday, I was talking to my realtor and we talked about, what can we do over the weekend, fix it up, how can we get things done? Within an hour, we had the cleaning crew there, somebody there to pick up garbage that was in the driveway, somebody cleaning the floors, cleaning the windows, somebody going there to paint and touch it up. The conversation I had with the realtor was, let's wait till Monday so that we can make sure it's going to be the best that we could possibly present. And I said, yeah, that sounds good. I'll get guys in over the weekend. And I called him back and I said, no way. There might be a buyer there this weekend. So if, worst case, we have somebody go in there and they say it's not cleaned up enough and they don't buy it. Best case is somebody goes in there and they love it and we get it under contract. So guess what happened yesterday? Drum roll. 48 hours after we listed this property that we almost weren't going to list until today, under contract, sold and to a cash buyer, and we close at the end of the month. So again, the way you do anything, the way you do everything, if you're going to take action on something, take action and make it happen fast. And that's I would say one of the main reasons why I've had the success I've had is I don't overthink things. I get it done.
So let's get your questions answered.
Yes.
Great to bring you up to speed. If you're stuck, if you're stuck on something or you don't know where you're going to get the money or how do you package a deal, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the formula real quick, and then we're going to go through and hammer any questions that you have. I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. Well, how would you do this? What happens if this happens? Now's your chance. Now's your chance. We're doing this to give you the opportunity to bust through whatever it is that's got you held back, whatever your excuses or obstacles might be.
And as we go through the questions, ask more questions, because I know what usually happens is we sit here and it's like, I don't know what to ask. I don't know what to ask. I don't know the question. And then we'll start a conversation and, now that brings up 3 more questions.
True success comes from asking great questions. If you ask great questions, you get great answers. So if you're on this call and you're not asking great questions, guess what? True success comes from asking great questions. So I'm not going to say any more about that. Knowing your gifts, real simple. Is this your calling? Is this driven by your bigger purpose? If you want to be successful in flipping real estate, first of all, you have to be giving in what you're doing. You see yourself, really see yourself as bettering a community, inspiring and empowering other women. Okay, so you got to be giving and growing. This has to get you outside your comfort zone. So if you're not uncomfortable, guess what? Bad news. You're not going to grow. But if you're willing to get outside your comfort zone, you'll be successful in this. And that's the criteria. Okay. The I in the gifts formula, the gifts criteria is inspiration. You got to be willing to look at circumstances and say, that's not what I'm going to pay attention to. It's not going to be how much money I have. It's not going to be, how little education I have or how tall I am or how many contractors I've had a problem with or, whether I broke my arm. It's going to be, I'm going to look at inspiration. I'm going to look at what flows through me. I'm excited to do this. I'm going to make it happen. Focus. F is for focus. You're willing to focus on this one project. And, example, if I believe today's call, if I'm just going to quickly double check. Yep, Stacy, you're on this call. We talked about the do's, right? One of them is get focused on your one project. Be willing to focus on this and make flipping count for you. You do 10 things, you're diluted. Get razor sharp, laser focused, punch through the steel. Laser, if it's you can punch through steel with a laser when it's focused. But you know what? With a 100-watt light bulb, same power as a 100-watt laser that could punch through steel, you could diffuse it in an incandescent light bulb. You diffuse the light, you distract the light, and all you do is light up a light bulb. You're certainly not going to, you read by it, but you can't punch through steel. T is for tools, talents, and teams. You got to get access to people. You got to get access to contractors, your dream team, and be willing to look at resources and get resourceful. Be willing to go for it, okay? And S is for service. Always ask, how may I serve? When you put your head on the pillow at night and something doesn't go right, if you're thinking about what's in it for everyone else instead of what's in it for you. When, Zig Ziglar said you can get anything in life you want as long as you help enough other people get what they want. He knew the first thing for him was to do it for his wife, get her everything she wants, then everybody else. And that's how I think as well. So
I'm glad to hear that you think that way.
I think, is that a surprise?
No.
Oh, good. So that's the criteria. Get out. You got to get outside your comfort zone, and hopefully we can help you do that. The steps are simple. Decide what you would love and start to imagine it. That's where reality starts. And then learn the formula. We're going to talk to you about the formula. We're going to take you through it, and this is going to help inspire more questions because you're going to say, that sounds too simple. How does this work? Great. That's why we're here. Then get your head in the game. Your psychology, 90% of what you're going to do in flipping real estate is psychology. 10% is mechanics and strategy. Get your head in the game. Commit. Okay? Take the 3 steps past this line. Draw a line in the sand. Take 3 steps past the ability to turn back. Right? Take action. Create your profit center. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the secret of creating your profit center, getting houses under contract, and that's how you get your investors. That's where the money comes from. And adjust until you get the results you want. Tony Robbins calls that the ultimate success formula. Get clear on what you want, know where you are, know the distance between where you are and where you want to go. That's the gap, and then adjust and refine and change until you get the result and the results specifically that you want. I'm going fast because I want to get right to the meat and potatoes. So here's the formula. It's a blueprint. It's the FlipChick Financial Freedom Formula. It's a roadmap. It's whatever you want to call it. And now it's time. So real quick, okay, I'm going to leave this on the screen. And I think the best thing that we can do right now, keep this on the screen rather than spending a bunch of time. We can dig into each category. We can dig into the questions. I'm going to leave this handy for us to look at. We're seeing lots and lots of questions coming up. So let's start answering questions. Let's start answering your questions, okay?
You pick the questions. I'll answer them.
All right. Well, we'll go see at the top. First of all, okay, the first question is Mary Ellen. So Mary Ellen asks, when you're presenting an opportunity to an investor, what do you put in the package? I love this question. I love answering it. But Margaret, I'm going to let you go first because I've been kind of dominating here, and this is your show.
It's my world. You're just living in it.
That's right. You manifested me.
Okay, so I have a template for an investor's package. So there's a couple of different types of investors. So depending on who you're talking to, there's the friends and family investors. You want to present whoever you're talking to with as much facts and so think of it this way. You want to give them every bit of information to proactively answer their questions and overcome any objections. So with my investors package, I put together who my team is. So my questions, if I'm the investor, I might think, okay, well, who are you? And how do I know that I can trust that you know what you're doing? So I'll give them, my information, my company information, my list of contractors, not so much the hey, here's their name and phone number, but this company, they've been working for this long. I've had this many deals with them. Even if you're brand new, you can put in some of this information, what type of contractors that you're going to be working with, who your team is. So I'll put a bit of information, background information. Here's the reality. An investor is going to skim through it, but to see that you've taken the time to put down, this is what I'm doing, this is my team, this is how I'm going to do it. If you have an actual opportunity that you're going to be presenting, of course, you're going to share the numbers. You're going to share the purchase price, you're going to share the rehab expectations, the ARV, the potential profit. One thing that a lot of people don't put in that I highly recommend if you're working with a savvy investor is, what if things don't go as planned? So a lot of times people who come into the flipping business, they give best case scenario and they have no contingency plans. So put into your investors package. And if this, here's my plan A, my plan B, maybe even a plan C, so that you're really sharing the full picture of what the opportunity is for an investor. So I don't know, can we share? I know it's part of the course that we have, that there's an investor's package, and it's really just plugging in your information. But think of it, put yourself in their shoes. So you've got, let's call it $100,000. You're an investor, you have $100,000. What do you want to see to feel warm and fuzzy about the fact that you're giving you as the person who wants to flip a house, buy a rental property, what is it based on your circumstance for your specific investment that you would want as an investor to be able to see? So Mary Ellen, do you have, I can give you some more specifics if you have an exact, like, hey, I want to buy a rental property and it's $25,000 and it's going to make $500 a month, and I'm looking for an investor to put $10,000 in. So what is it that you can show to demonstrate that this is the return that you're going to get? This is the confidence that I'm going to give you that you're going to get that return. This is how, this is our exit strategy. This is how we're going to get out, and you're going to get your investment back. So it's really just spelling out all the details.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about all the details, just to jump in, I think, remember, and this is sort of the how do I get a house under contract secret. So, there's going to be questions about this. If you want people to look at you and question you, then talk all about you. If you want investors to invest in your property, give them a package that gives tremendous details about the market that you're in. And again, this is where you're working with an investor-friendly realtor. You have the numbers on the property that you're looking at. Ideally, you also have it under contract, because when you have it under contract, some of you have heard me say this already, you're a player. When you talk about, hey, it's like when someone says, hey, I'm going to open a business. You want to do it with me? Let's pool our money together and do it. Versus, hey, this is my business. This is what I'm doing in my business. Here's the property that I put under contract. Here are the 3 properties I put under contract. And you say, okay, and here's the specs. Here's everything that I know about this property and the market that it's in, what's happened over the last, trends over the last 3 months. What do I believe is moving in this category? What are a few examples of comps? Your investor-friendly realtor is going to help you answer those questions. And then when you show your team and you've got information about the property and you talk about what your anticipated ARV is, and you say, by the way, here's how we here at whatever LLC, here's how we work with investors. This particular opportunity is based on offering a percentage of interest during, while we have your money. So the other one might be, hey, we're going to split the winnings in this way, and we're going to give you a piece of the action based on net profit. So there's different ways of doing it. But again, once you get something under contract and you paint that picture, you're creating a business. The investors will look primarily at your certainty in what you've presented. They'll verify the facts instead of spending all their time trying to find out what your credit history is and what you've been up to.
Certainly, if you have experience, if you've flipped houses, of course, share your numbers, even if they're not don't go pick your top 3 deals that you've done. Put what's real. Put as many deals as you've done. If you've never done a deal, then pull some comps that are in the area. So let's say you're wanting to flip a house and you're speculating what the ARV is. Go see if you can find some houses that have been flipped so you can demonstrate this is the neighborhood, this is the demographic, this is what other people are doing, and you're going to demonstrate that it's something that's a viable investment for them.
So are there any other questions about this? Mary Ellen, I want you to go ahead and type in the comments if that answers your question. And if you have other questions on that, or anyone else does, go ahead and type in that question. We can always go back to it. And I'm having, my wheels are turning, possibly giving access to perhaps a bonus to help with that process. I think it's one of the most critical steps, and we really like to give away as much value as we can because we want you all to be successful with flipping real estate, with investing in real estate.
And I also want to say, don't underestimate the value of having a conversation person to person. So a lot of times I'll give you some examples of investors that I've worked with. I've worked with investors that have been family members, and I certainly did not present an investor's package to those people, but they saw what I was doing. So that, you may be starting out and not have the experience. People basically throw money at us now. They see what we've done and they want to be part of it. They want a piece of the action. So if that's not the case for you, then you have a conversation and you be honest with people. So if I'm talking to, let's say, my brother and I'm brand new starting out, I would say, here's what I'm doing. I'm learning from somebody who has flipped houses. It's hard to believe that you can make money flipping houses, but she's doing it. So I don't know. I'm going to try doing it. Just be honest. Don't act like, oh, I'm an expert at this. Be honest with somebody if you are starting out, that you're learning from somebody who's doing this and who has been very successful doing this. Mm-hmm. So there's huge value in your association to the FlipChick RIA. You have access to not just us, but other successful investors that, really there's huge value in that. And an investor will, whether they're savvy or not, they're going to really feel good about the fact that you have that association.
And I know that some of you on this call are not in the FlipChick program. So I know that the reality is some of you aren't really familiar with the blueprint. So, Mary Ellen, I'm going to answer your other question in a moment. But first, I want to just really give a quick overview at a high speed of what the blueprint is, because it's important to know that the process is simple. Following the process is critical. And execution, when you learn the order of steps, execution, once you learn it, is critical. So it's not about, hey, I know the process now I can flip real estate. It's I'm doing the steps. Real quick, let's go through. Fundamentally, the foundation is you open your LLC, you open a business, you come up with a name, which is a minor part of it. And you establish lines of credit, you build your relationships for your dream team, your investor-friendly realtor, you're a wholesaler, you have your accountant who understands how to do accounting and even bookkeeping for someone who's investing in real estate. So foundationally, you got to be open for business. You got to have an LLC because you don't want to be buying property personally. You want to have that degree of insulation. I'm going to say the disclaimer right here because I'm not in a position, although I'm going to share what we do and I'm going to share the blueprint, I can't give you legal advice. I can't even give you financial advice. But what I can do is say, hey, by the way, this is what we do. Foundation, is there anything you want to add? Because I want to go through this pretty quick, but I don't want to.
No, I mean, it's really, again, these are the things I didn't do when I started, and some of them came to bite me in the butt, especially some of the accounting things. I hadn't set things up properly. Really getting the foundation set is so important. And when you're starting off, it seems like the least important thing. Is it going to all fall apart if you don't do it until step 2 or 3? No, but if we want to do things the right way, just like when you're fixing up a house, do the foundation first. So when you're funding it, this is looking at where can you get lines of credit? What assets do you already have that maybe are underutilized? We used to call them our flaccid funds, but Nate thought that was not appropriate, but I still like to say it because it makes me chuckle. It's getting commercial credit. It's getting your Home Depot card, getting all those things set up so that when you go, then it's easy to know, to show that you have the money. It's working with hard money lenders. It's, even talking to banks at that time, certainly talking to private money people. So step 2 is fund it. It doesn't mean get stuck there. So that's where most people get stuck. Don't get stuck getting the funding. Get things moving with it. Do the activity that you need to get funding. Don't stop because you don't have it. Then step 3 is finding it. That's the fun part. You go, you find your property, flip it, you fix it up.
I'm going to back up. Keep in mind, fund it and find it are interchangeable, because when you really understand the value of building this business, investors are looking for someone who is so committed. And again, this isn't for everybody, but it's great to have the funds in advance. But if you can put down $1,000 in earnest money or $500 in earnest money, you get a house under contract, guess what? That day, that moment, you're a player. How many buy equipment? I just want to, are we covering the topics that you want to hear? Because if we're not, then ask the questions. Tell us which way you want us to go. We're going to keep answering the questions. Let us know what's most important to you, and we're going to keep going through. We've got a lot of questions here. Want to make sure, again, my grandmother used to say, chew the goodness out of it. Maybe the questions we're answering aren't the questions that you have. But if you don't tell us, or if you don't stay tuned for us to get to your question, you might miss out on something good. My father always used to say, if you hold your breath while I'm talking, waiting so you can talk, you might miss what I'm saying before you do.
Yeah.
So the goodness out of it, by the way, is if you get some gristle. Some of that meat's good, all right? I know it's kind of a weird thing to say. So the important thing to note is you're building a business. An investment in real estate, a flip is an investment in building a business and a profit center. You can go do that now.
Yep.
Open a business, get an LLC, go get a house under contract. Why not? If there's a reason why you can't, if you think you can't, I would ask that question. Say, I don't think I can. This will be too hard for me. My question is, how bad do you want it? Because it's possible for every single one of you to go get a house under contract, and I won't take excuses. All right. So how you like that? All right. Jumping ahead to, we'll go back to the questions, but step 4, flip it.
Flip it. That's the fun stuff. Flow it is creating cash flow. So a lot of people stop at step 4. They flip houses, they get a chunk of money, they spend it, they flip another house, get a chunk of money, they spend it, and then they realize that they're still working. It's active income. In the training, we talk about active versus passive versus residual income. I won't go into that now. Flow it is creating cash flow. So right now, in my world, and in what I hope is every flip chick's dream, is that money comes to us while we sleep. So I have properties all over the place, and I get a check, and I often don't even ever go to the property, but I've gone to it, I've had somebody vet it, and there's money coming in every single month. Financial freedom, that's the step when you've replaced your income so that you no longer have to work, so that your lifestyle is sustained by that cash flow that you created in step 5. Step 7 is compounding. That's where you take the profits, you reinvest them so that you have a money-making machine. And then legacy, the final step, is what are you doing? How are you making a difference? It's not about how fat your piggy bank is. It's what you're doing out in the world, taking care of your family, taking care of people less fortunate. Whatever your driving force is, that's what we want you to be moving towards. It's just who we end up attracting is people that are like us. And frankly, all the money in the bank isn't nearly as rewarding as when you can go out and make a difference in somebody's life who can never pay you back.
You're all positioned right now simply by being on this call, having the opportunity to enroll in the program if you haven't. I mean, if I believe you could go right directly to, if you haven't even seen the webinar, you could go to flipchickcoaching.com/webinar and go see it. You know what? It's free. Go see it. Why not? And if you want to join the program or learn more about it, you can go to join.flipchickcoaching.com. It's super inexpensive. And you know what? You have the chance to inspire other women. This is not a sales pitch, by the way. We put this together to do it at the price that we have. It's unheard of. We've never done it at this level before. We want to reach as many women as we can. And you have the chance to inspire other women around you by stepping up. So I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on that, but if you didn't know that's available, you know what? We'll make sure also that we continue to post the opportunity to get onto some of the learning in the webinar to learn more about the story. So we'll keep answering questions right now. And I just want to tune in. Everyone who's here, can you take a moment and flip back to the screen if you're busy navigating around and doing other things? Could you all just come back and really join me just for a second? Because, obviously we're here and we're committed to have this time with you. And it feels really good to know that, are we covering the topics you want to cover? Is there something else that you'd really like to know? Is there something pressing that you think is holding you back? Is there someone who says, I don't think I can do this right now because of X? I'm going to tell you, I can convince you, I can prove to you right now on this call that that's not true. How would you like that? So quick show of hands. Are we covering the right stuff? If we're covering the right stuff, raise your hand. Is this helpful? Are we really giving you the right stuff? Just a quick show of hands.
Good.
All right. We're seeing a lot of hands go up. Okay, good.
Oh, and more questions. Yay.
And lots of questions. Awesome.
We better get to them.
We're going to keep going.
We have a lot of questions.
All right. I just want to tune in. I want to take the temperature. So, okay. Jana, you're excited. We're excited that you're here. Mary Ellen, another question. I need to be in the top 3% of doing. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. What's the best? Mary Ellen again. Like frequent flyer here.
Frequent flyer.
What is the superstar? What's the best way to find a wholesaler? I love this question, Margaret.
Okay.
Take it away.
2 best ways to find a wholesaler. The first best way is on Craigslist. So when you go out to Craigslist, go and look.
Wait, can we stop for a second?
Yeah.
Does everyone know what a wholesaler is? So a wholesaler is someone whose like total goal is to get access to properties that are not on the market, or properties that are not necessarily, they're motivated sellers. They're people who are looking to just, get rid of their home. Go ahead and expand on that. What a
So a wholesaler will tie up a property, and by tie up, I mean they have the right to either buy it or to find somebody else to buy it, but they have it under contract in some capacity, whether that's a traditional contract or an agreement to pay somebody a certain amount for the right to sell it. So it's not a realtor selling something on the MLS. It's somebody, like Nate said, typically somebody who is finding off-market properties, meaning that maybe they've gone to probate to find out that somebody's grandma died and they made an offer to the granddaughter and she wants to sell it fast and she's selling it for significantly discounted price, and the wholesaler gets a fee. So it's normal for a wholesaler to charge anywhere between $5,000 and $25,000, sometimes more. So you'll know that a wholesaler, the price is negotiable, but the wholesaler. Back to the question. See, I could talk for hours on each topic.
It's okay. We're good checks and balances. So you need to find a wholesaler because, and again, back to you, Stacy, from today's call. I want you to know that the idea of hey, you're a realtor. A lot of you on this call are realtors. So you can't read the label from inside the bottle, okay? And I love that statement. The idea is if you're really going to be successful at flipping real estate, it doesn't mean you can't do your paperwork. But if your goal is to be really successful, you're not jumping on the MLS. You're working with a wholesaler who works day in and day out.
Not just jumping on the MLS, so that you will find a lot of deals on the MLS. You don't want to...
you don't want to discount and not look at the MLS,
and you don't want to be a realtor and say, "Oh, I'm not going to work with the wholesaler because I'm going to find my properties on the MLS." You can find properties through auctions. So the best way is to find the wholesaler first is Craigslist. You're going to find people who are trying to sell houses or buy houses for cash. So you'll see these ads that say we buy ugly houses or we pay cash for your house, any condition, stuff like that. You'll see on Craigslist. Second best way is you'll see signs. Show of hands, how many people have seen the signs that say, we pay cash for houses or we buy ugly houses or, real estate, real estate apprentice wanted, I pay you cash, that sort of thing. So those are wholesalers. Those are people that are looking for people who are desperate to get out of their house and are looking to sell it fast and at a discounted price. So the value of the wholesaler is they will have an inventory of buyers, potential buyers, and they're going to have houses that are under market value. And I do a lot of deals with wholesalers.
And you get to know you, they get to trust you, you get to trust them, you know who you can work with, and they'll get you on their list. So when an opportunity comes up, you'll get a text, you'll get an email. And
so I'm going to answer a question that nobody's asked yet that you should ask about wholesalers. So it's very enticing, the idea of wholesaling. So you'll see a lot of people who teach classes on, hey, become a wholesaler. You can make $10,000 and all you need to do is get a house under contract and sign the paperwork. And we're in the Chicago area, and there are about 4 or 5 wholesalers in the entire Chicagoland area that are doing well wholesaling. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of people who are buying into the idea that they can be a successful wholesaler. The ratio of people that are actually successful doing it. So I'm sure a lot of you, God bless you if you're doing very well wholesaling. I can't tell you how many hundreds of people I've personally talked to that have tried so hard to do wholesaling. They've sent mailers out and they've invested a lot of money and they just haven't gotten the return. It's a completely valid way to make money in real estate. I want to use the wholesaler as a resource. I don't want to become a wholesaler. I want something that's more of a sure deal that I have more, control over, which is flipping and then creating cash flow.
So to that point, I'd like to give something away. Can I give something away?
You can give away whatever you want.
Or how many of you
You're the boss.
How many of you would like to have access to the wholesaler cheat sheet? If you don't already have access to it, some of you don't. So to know, just a quick show of hands, how many of you think that'd be cool to just know, how do I find the right wholesaler, vet them out, not end up with a goofball or someone doesn't know what they're doing or someone who just took a weekend course and thinks they're going to help you? Okay, that's almost everybody's hands. By the way, your ticket to this call, I didn't mention this. I'm going to tell you how to get that after the call. I made a note of it, so I'm not going to forget. You'll get the wholesaler questions to ask, cheat sheet, so you don't end up, with a snowball of confusion with someone who's trying to figure out their business. Well, you just want to grow yours. So, the ticket to this event, this call right here, is to ask a question. So if you haven't asked one, make sure that you do, but you don't have to ask it now. Just ask it when you're ready, and make sure that you leave with, I want to make sure everyone leaves here with value. That's why we're doing this.
Real quick on the wholesaler, they want you more than you want them. So don't think for a second that you're doing them any favors, or that you should be in a position of anything but the absolute highest. You have the upper hand when you're looking for a wholesaler. You're not doing them a favor. Or you're sometimes my brain
turn the
work
tables. They need you more
mouth.
than you need them, and just like
Absolutely.
that, you're going to hear a theme. We're going to talk to you about how to turn the tables as a FlipChick. When you're following the financial freedom blueprint, when you meet with a bank, you're interviewing them.
If you're a FlipChick, you always have the upper hand.
You are the one. They're hoping to get you, because you know what? FlipChicks have a reputation, especially the one who's sitting with me right here. We make deals happen. Banks like to work with us. They like to work with Margaret, because when we come in and say we're putting a deal together, they want to be on the winning end of that project.
Yep.
And you're learning how to do that too. So, all right, the next question: what is the best way to determine what to offer on a house? Again, Mary Ellen, great job. Wow, she is like really. We're going in order, okay? So get your questions in, and what is the best way to determine what to offer on a house? What is the high? So
you wanna pull comps. You want to know what you can possibly sell the property for. You want to do an analysis of the budget. So how much work needs to get done? What could you possibly sell it for? What are the holding costs? So you start with what can I sell it for? Subtract from that the rehab price, subtract from that the holding costs. And by holding costs, I mean, how much does the money cost you? If you are borrowing money from a hard money lender, that's sometimes can add up to a significant part of the budget. And also things like insurance and utilities and, just sitting on it for however long you're going to sit on it. Subtract that and then add into your profit what you want to make. And then the number at the end is what you can offer on a house.
Awesome. So hopefully that's clear. If you have further questions on that, go ahead and type it in. I'm just going to also say that, as we're moving through and answer these questions, we both have something really special to share at the end of this live Q&A. So if you're here throughout the call, there's going to be an opportunity. I want to make sure you know that. The idea, our expectation is that,
and not something we're selling.
Nothing that we're selling.
Something special.
Something special for all of you just for attending. And I want to make sure that so if you do stay on the call, I know we all have busy lives, you'll have access to that. So we'll be seeing who's still on the call at the end.
Awesome.
And okay, the goal would be to just keep moving down the questions. So
they keep adding up. We're gonna have to go faster.
What is the process of getting property? This is Arlene. So what is the process of getting properties with no money down? What is the process and what is required? So I'm going to speak to that first. Okay, we are not Carlton Sheets, and we are not some of the popular infomercials that you watch at midnight in front of like some tropical scene. The idea, first of all, expect that if you have investors, people who are going to work with you, and you find a really good deal, and you do the work and they do the investment, boom, you're now flipping real estate with someone who's investing in you. And there's a real good opportunity. You find it, you put together, like Margaret shared earlier, you put together your investment information, you have a packet, and you're going to split the profits. You're going to give them a percentage return on their investment. And if you do that with a private investor, you don't have to put money down. Now, realistically, that can happen. That's something we've done many, many times. Go ahead and speak to this.
So it makes me crazy when I watch these guys on TV. Invest, no money down. I'm sorry. It takes money to invest. It doesn't have to be your money. That's what we teach is that you find somebody to invest. If you have money, great. If you don't have money, that's great too. People want to invest, and if you are the one who doesn't have the money, you have the opportunity. So opportunity meeting money is where more money is made. That's called investing. So it takes money to invest. It doesn't have to be your money. So we're not going to teach, do a little research on some of these guys that have been teaching the no money down, see how much time they've spent in jail, because there's a lot of stuff that they were teaching that wasn't on the up and up, and how many people, they'll teach, I won't get into it too much, but they'll teach things that basically are taking advantage of the person who owns the house taking advantage of the buyer. We
taking
are
advantage of people are in bad financial circumstances.
That's not what we're about.
During the no money down craze that everyone was doing. So I remember sitting in my office at 10, 11 at night, and at the time I wasn't flipping homes, but I've been around. The mortgage business my family's been in the mortgage business successfully, and also in real estate flipping, investing, and holding and portfolio work. And I would literally call people who were getting foreclosed on and find out everything they were dealing with, and bring that information to people who I knew could help them, or share what I had learned. And a lot of times what was happening is these people were being preyed upon to find out how you could buy someone's house for $10,000 when they had $80,000 in equity. So we don't go down that road.
So we're not going to teach you to do investing with no money down. We're going to teach you to be the girl with the money so that you can invest.
And how you get it, and how it doesn't have to be yours.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing I'm going to share with you is you can do it that way. You could also, and again, I've said this before, but it's important to remember, investing in a flip is a profit center. You be in a position to put $500 or $1,000 down. It's called earnest money. So when you get a house under contract, you make the commitment, you sign the purchase and sale agreement, you'll have a way out. There's always a way out. You have a contingency, financing contingency, an inspection contingency. Those are the two top, and we could add to this if we had all day. But you be prepared to put down $500 or $1,000, and now you're a player. Now you're in the game. Then you can tell your investor, I've got a deal, I've got a property, I'm going to close on it, I'm deciding who my partners are. Here's the investor's packet. Here's the opportunity. And anyone, I'm going to say anyone, no matter what your situation, can scrape together $500 or $1,000 to make this kind of a life-changing move and start investing in real estate.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to go.
Yeah,
further than that.
Just to reiterate, don't think about the no money down. This is not a get rich quick. This is how do you become a player, an investor who has partners who have money. It's a different game we're playing here. It's real people with real money.
Yeah, and actually ethical. I love this question, and I'm going to take this one. Okay. How do you break through the fear of running out of money, losing everything? This is Tiffany, single with no additional income to fall back on and no one to bail me out. So I've been there. Margaret's been there. Mm-hmm. We know what that looks like and what it feels like. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is things are never as bad as they look.
True.
So if you sit there and you talk, first of all, you're writing it, you're thinking it. The rule number one, I hope you have a pen out, Tiffany. I hope everyone's listening to this. This is a real quick and helpful tool. What you focus on is what you feel. So what I want you to do is just sit down and write down all the advantages of getting involved with flipping real estate and what you can create. Inspire your imagination and focus on what the evidence will be, what will change in your life when you're flipping real estate. And I'm going to speak, that's going to be an example, how exciting life will be, what travel you'll do, the kind of time and ability to be present with your family and your kids, what that will be like. And recognize when you make that list and you start to focus on and practice thinking about what you would love and what you're excited about, you're going to start to feel what that feels like. The same thing, the reverse is true. If you start thinking about how bad things can be and you start thinking about loss and failure and losing, do you know most people that have businesses that are making $1 million or $100 million have the same worries? What if I lose it all? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't change just because you have $100 million. It's what if I lose it? What if I lose what I built? What if I lose my edge? So I'm going to give you a tool, and I just would love to know, quick show of hands, how many of you would love to know a tool to completely eliminate this problem moving forward? No more fear, or if you have the fear, you're able to move forward in it because we've been there, and that's almost everybody's hands. So I'm going to share this awesome tool. There's actually two parts of it. So the first thing is, it's called fear setting, and I've learned this. There's a little variation on this. I learned this from Tim Ferriss. He's fantastic. Go to his podcast. It's really cool. You can learn about it in the 4-Hour Work Week. I've practiced this. So there's two. There's fear setting and there's daring the dark. We're going to teach you both of those really, really quick. So fear setting goes like this. If you actually did run out of money and lose everything, what would it look like? What would happen? What is your worst possible case scenario? And one of the stories I hear is you could always walk across the country, even if you have kids, with a stroller, and people will give you grapes. I don't know where that comes from. People will help you, okay? Because and now look at a time in your life where you had to make money, or you had to get a job, or you had to make a living, and think about what's important to you. Where have you successfully gotten work, and what have you been willing to do to take care of your kids or your family or yourself? And the fact is, when you make a decision, when you decide that you are going to take care of yourself, how many of you know with total certainty you actually can do it? Now, it might not be through flipping real estate. Maybe you're the kind of person who isn't going to step forward. I hope that all of you will. But if you really go after this and you're really afraid, fear setting is this. Look at your worst case scenario and say, okay, if it really got that bad, what would I do? Because the fact is, there's lots of places hiring all the time. There's lots of genius that you have. There's ways, there's problems you've solved, there's things that you've done in your life. And what you can do is recognize that the worst case scenario just isn't that bad. And I don't know, maybe some of you have experienced being homeless. But if you get out of it, you know you're never going to do it again. So that's fear setting. Now, the second thing that you can do is daring the dark. Make a list of everything you're afraid of right now. Rather than letting it wake you up at 2 o'clock in the morning or get you an ulcer, worried all day, and have you complacent or not moving forward with your flipping business, write everything down that scares the heck out of you. All of it. Everything. Oh my God, this will happen, that'll happen. My kids won't have enough food. I can't pay for their school. I can't pay the bills. I can't pay the mortgage. I'm going to lose my car. Someone's going to tell me that I'm a loser. They're going to say, I told you so. You never should have done this. Make the list of everything you're afraid of and know that your subconscious mind, okay, I'm not getting frou-frou. This is important. This is critical. And everybody deals with this. Just about every hand went up, okay? I've done this. You write down everything you're afraid of and you say, you know, my history is telling me to be careful so I don't do something that might hurt me. So look at the list and then tell your mind, tell yourself, I am going to take a move forward that is going to help me. I'm not going to do what hurts me. I'm going to do the very best for myself and my family because I know that's what you do. You know that's what you do. And then you're going to take that list of everything that you're afraid of, and you're going to put it aside. And you're going to look at it from a distance, and you're going to say, I've made an arrangement with a power that's far greater than me. Incidentally, what woke you up this morning? What grows your hair? What grew your fingernails? What brought you into this world? You're going to make an arrangement with a power that's clearly far greater than you. And you're going to put your faith in that. Now, the difference here when you're talking about daring the dark is the difference between faith and fear. They're both believing in the unknown. In this case, you're going to believe in faith instead of fear because faith moves you forward. Fear moves you backwards. And look at that list, pick it up and say, I've made a deal with faith. Crumple up that list of what you're afraid of. Throw it away. And anytime it creeps in, say, I've made the deal with faith. I'm going to put my energy into faith instead of into fear. And the faith is what's going to grow. All right, I hope that's helpful. There's no reason to be afraid of it unless that's where you want to spend your time. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. I hope that was helpful.
He's good.
It's been helpful for me.
I'll tell you, ladies, I have fear when I'm moving into a new project.
Everybody has fear.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And the process that Nate just talked about, we go through on a regular basis. You know we have that faith.
Remember the criteria? If you want to grow, you got to get uncomfortable. Ideally, look at what you're most afraid of and move towards that. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going to flip real estate, that scares the hell out of you. Guess what? You're probably moving in the right direction. Yep. Between now and the rest of your life, this is when you have the chance to make your greatest mark. What are you going to do with it? All right. Stacy said, oh, who was that? I want to make sure. Tiffany. So thank you, Tiffany. Stacy, if you see a property right now that I want to write an offer on, but I don't have a bank account or the money, should I make the offer and then work on getting my money partners so I don't lose the opportunity? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to tell you, there's nothing more powerful than lighting a fire under your butt. Mm-hmm. And so if you say, I don't have a bank account or the money, so that's a story. And if you're interested in the story of I don't have enough, then start talking about not having a bank account, not having the money. Or you can come up with a different story and you can say, every single bit of the money that I need is already on its way to me right now. It's just in the wrong pockets. It's just in the wrong pockets. So all I need to do is care enough about creating a really great investment opportunity and share it with other people so I can truly serve them. Imagine using your gifts to give in that way. And do you make an offer and work on getting the money? Well, the thing is, if you're really going to make an offer, absolutely. And if you're really going to get the money with the same kind of certainty that you could go get a glass of water right now, then you make getting that $500 or $1,000 in earnest money your foregone conclusion. Create certainty. Know that you'll absolutely have it. And then go make it happen. And you'll be one of the people who steps up and changes your life. I remember once I needed to get a car. My car completely died. And I was looking at a Lexus RX 300. And I was looking at another repair job on a car that was falling apart. I had no business buying the Lexus, and I'm not I'm not condoning going out and spending a lot on a Lexus, but I made the commitment to buy the car, and I went back to one of my companies that I was running at the time, and I put together enough business to pay cash after I'd already signed the paperwork. Now, not everyone's going to put themselves in that situation, but when you rise to the occasion, it's usually because you created an occasion where you needed to rise. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
And I'll tell you that most properties that I make an offer on, I don't have the money and I don't have the partners yet. But I have the certainty that I've got a deal that is worth investing in, and I will find the person who is interested in investing in it.
Absolutely. And we know one of the things I've learned from Margaret is you don't keep money hanging out so you can feel comfortable and secure. You invest it so you can grow. And we keep ourselves right on the edge all the time because it's important to keep yourself moving forward and investing and believing. You don't say, I'm going to put this aside so I feel safe. Because when you feel safe, you're ripe. And when you're ripe, you rot.
Yeah.
Okay. Arlene, first starting out, where did you get your knowledge to flip properties? And also, what did you do for fun and just starting out? Margaret, this is all you.
I had zero knowledge. If you ask my dad, I still have zero knowledge on flipping properties. We just had a conversation this morning.
Knowledge is overrated.
Knowledge is well overrated. It's just knowing where to find the people who know what they need to be doing. Seriously though, I didn't know anything about flipping houses. I have a degree in computer science. I was at the time running martial arts schools.
You failed fast.
I failed fast.
You fail fast. Just fail fast enough
and
to get
forward.
get to the win. Fast and forward. Running, actually walking is controlled falling. And I believe in hearing Margaret's story. She just kept falling forward and said, I hope when I step forward, the other foot will come up so I can catch myself.
So I didn't know anything about flipping houses. I'd seen a few of those reality shows on TV and I thought, oh, they can do it. They make it look easy. I'm as smart as they are. Maybe I wasn't. But I went out and I found a deal and I hired somebody. I didn't even know if they were going to be any good. It turned out that we ended up working together for a while. I taught him, what he needed to know in some ways, and he taught me what I needed to know in some ways. But that's part of why I put the program together. It was painful for me when I first started flipping houses over a decade ago. I really had no idea what I was doing. The contractors and the inspectors from the city, they would talk to me and it was like they were speaking a foreign language.
And treating you like, oh, it's just a woman. Why should I take her seriously?
Yeah, and treating me like I had no business being there because, maybe I didn't, but clearly I've proven that I did. This was the motivation for putting this program together. What happened is, probably, 5-6 years ago, people started asking me how I did what I was doing. And I couldn't sit down over coffee and explain it. So we put the system together to be able to have anybody be able to go through it and follow the same steps that I, stumbled through. So what knowledge, how did I get my knowledge? I still don't have that much knowledge about flipping properties. I just know that I know how to hire the right people. And like Nate said, I'm going to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is also, Margaret's being very humble about this, but I'm just going to say this, that when I went through this process of picking her brain to find out what genius she has in this process, I learned more about what to make this program and how to structure it so that we could teach you and teach any of you who are in the program as well by studying her mistakes with her. And she just spent all this time talking about where she made a mistake here and where she made a mistake there and templated it and modeled it and created the fabric of a training program that will help you learn from her mistakes.
So I'm not very good in the kitchen. I don't fancy myself a chef by any stretch of the imagination. So sometimes I look at people and they'll make this fabulous meal or bake or, do these things that to me, I look at them, I think, how did you figure that out? Like, how do you have that knowledge? It's no different. You burn a pie a couple of times and you stop burning pies and you figure out that you can put a pinch here and, you need to measure this. You don't need to measure this. You figure it out.
Absolutely.
What was the second question?
The second question is, how do you get the funding? Starting out.
What did I do for the funding? I asked a family member and gave them a direct percent return. So I borrowed money and I said, I'm going to pay you this much back. I need it for 6 months. And they trusted me, whether they should or not, I don't know. But then they wanted to do it again. And the people, a couple of people in the family that gave me some money. And then after that, I just started asking anybody and everybody that I knew and started getting outside investors. And then eventually replaced the investment money with my own pile of money.
So,
but I started with nothing.
There'll be something about this at the end of this call. That's something we're going to give away about this, about where the money comes from. And more than that, I'm not going to get into all the details, but I want you to look forward to that at the end of the call. For anyone who's still on the call at the end, we are going to do an awesome giveaway, and it's going to take the pressure off of that question more so than anything.
I hope you have a list of all these giveaways. Oh, he does.
I do.
He's got these little chicken scratchings of everything that he's going to give you girls.
Very organized.
He is.
Okay.
It's true.
And committed to serve. Okay. So thank you, Arlene. Stacy, another question. How do we know what type of return to present to the money investor?
Well, the return is going to be what the real return is expected to be. So if Nate kind of mentioned it earlier, there's different ways of investing or offering an opportunity to somebody. I just said that I offered a flat rate return. At the time, it was only 5% because I didn't, it was a family member. They were not looking for that much. Some people I'll give 10, 15%. It's what's available in the opportunity. How easy do I have access to money? You might find a partner that's going to look for a percent. They're willing to take some risk and look for a percent of the return instead of a flat percent. So it depends on what you have to work with. So if you know what, I'm willing to give 10% or 15% and the numbers still work. If you're not so confident with how the project's going to go and somebody's willing to share some of the risk with you, then maybe you say, we'll split the profits 50-50 or whatever the number is that makes sense for both you and the potential investor. It's not just a black and white, hey, I give 10% to my hard money people or 15% or 5%. It's what is the person looking for? So it's interesting. I'll have a conversation with somebody. It's astonishing how many people have money just sitting there. It's the flaccid funds I talk about. People who maybe they have an inheritance or they've got a 401k sitting there or they've just been socking away.
Or they have equity in their house.
Yeah, or equity in their house. Another good point.
I talked to someone the other day and they're like, I just don't have the money. I don't think I could invest right now. I said, well, do you have any equity in their house? I'm like, oh, it's like 90% paid off. Like, well, home equity line of credit, and you can do this entire deal yourself without a partner. So most people don't know. There's so much money available.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
I just had a conversation with somebody. They'd gotten a small amount of inheritance, and I said, what did you do with it? How are you investing it? And they have it in the bank, and they're making 0.02 or whatever ridiculous percent. And I say, how much? How would it feel if you're making 3% or 5%? So you might be able to give somebody 5% and they're thrilled with it. You might have somebody who's a little bit, savvy is not even the word, but has a higher expectation for their return. And maybe you need to give them more money or maybe, just open the conversation with them. You, of course, don't want to pay more than you need to, so it depends on the circumstance with the actual investor that you're talking to.
Exactly. All right, awesome question. Now we're back to Mary Ellen. Oh, wow, freaking flyer yet again. So the plan B would be approximate rents in the area. Back to the original question, we're talking about having an exit strategy, and how do you know? I believe it was how do you know? It's kind of a sweet spot question. Oh no, ARV. It was an ARV question. Mm-hmm. Okay, so plan B would be approximate rents in the area. There's a longer answer to that. Margaret, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
So you don't ever want to be stuck. Somebody just shared on the RIA the other day about how they'd started flipping houses and they lost on their first flip and they ended up losing their own home.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Sure.
So just make sure all of you are on the RIA. This is a free resource to go into the FlipChick RIA, REIA, Real Estate Investment Association. I know most of you will know what that is. Get in there and ask questions. You're talking about lots of FlipChick alumni in there, ready to just fire off examples, talk about what they went through, answer your tough questions. We go in there, we answer questions. We've made this available, and we don't charge you to be in there. So get in there, check it out, become a part of the network and the community. Let's get this out there. Okay, go back to answering your question. Get in the RIA. Okay,
so multiple exit strategies. So the plan B is if plan A doesn't work, what's my other way to get out of the property? So plan A is usually get into a house, fix it up, flip it, make gobs of money. Plan B could be get into a house, fix it up, oops, nobody wanted to buy it, or I didn't want to sell it for a loss, or I think that I could make more money if I wait until next year, whatever the case may be. Plan B for me is usually rent it out. Frankly, your plan B might be that you move into that house. Plan B might be that, you turn it into a bed and breakfast. Those of you who have been following us for a little bit know that we've done that as a plan B. So the most important thing is that you have a plan B. Yes, typically it'll be that you can turn it into a rental. So yes, find out what is the rent, what could you possibly get for rent, and is it going to cover your expenses at a minimum, and ideally create a nice profit center where you're getting some profit and you're seeing cash flow from that.
Yeah, and another one that I've seen done and have been party to is at the 11th hour, when you don't know what you're going to do and you're not really sure what your plan B is, you can find another investor who sees an opportunity beyond compare, talk to someone who's an expert in this, who may have resources or have other ideas, who can say, you know what, you could bump the roof up and or add another bedroom, completely change the potential ARV for this particular property.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get another investor who involved, or you can get another expert involved. So there are, it's when someone says, oh, it's either I make money or I lose money. No. When someone says it's a choice between one or the other, know that there's at least 10 other opportunities.
Yep.
There's never just a plan A or B. There's C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you could do owner financing. You can pull the money out of it and rent it out, and you can
Airbnb.
You could Airbnb it. You could do vacation rental.
But Airbnb is an option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Arlene, is there a method for flipping commercial properties? Can I answer a short version on this? The short answer on this is this call is, and I had a conversation with someone about that today as well. When you're dealing with a business market, someone who may need a business market, you're talking about there's lots of good times where flipping commercial properties is great. That's not what we're teaching. And you're also greatly reducing the likelihood, or I should say the ease with which you can gauge the demand in the market. So unless you really want to focus on what's going on in a certain business market in a certain area, there's a lot of nuances there that are quite a bit different from residential. And Margaret, go ahead.
So I just want to clarify. So we're making the assumption that commercial property means like a retail or maybe light industrial. So Nate's answer is, if you're talking about commercial, meaning a strip mall or a business something property. That a business is right. A business property versus it's also commercial. If you're in the lingo of the real estate world, commercial property could be an apartment building. So there's certainly a lot of ways that you could flip any and all of the above. What Nate said, I personally have owned commercial properties. There's far more risk than I'm comfortable with teaching as hey, this is a great idea for everybody to do. There's great ways to make money in commercial properties. Certainly, it's a bit more sophisticated. I wouldn't recommend starting with commercial. I'll give you a quick story. So we have a strip mall that built from the ground up, great opportunity, sold some of the units as condos, and then 2008 happened. Had about a $2 million loan on the property, never was late, had some good tenants, it was cash flowing. The bank in 2008 said, hey, guess what? We don't do commercial loans anymore. You need to pay us $2 million and it's due in 90 days. So fortunately, we were able to come up with another plan B exit strategy, but we could have easily lost all of the equity that we had in that property. So if you're not positioned with some pretty deep pockets or connections to people who can give you millions of dollars, then to me, it's not worth the risk. I don't recommend it to the vast majority of people, certainly not starting out.
All right.
It's a good thing to move into. If you've got a portfolio of 100 residential units and you're looking for expanding that portfolio and diversifying, great, do that. Don't make it sure, hey, this is my bread and butter.
All right. So real quick, Mary Ellen said Plan C may be using Airbnb. We covered that.
I love Airbnb.
We've done really well with that. It's a great place to explore. It's a great way to test it out, see how it goes. If it cash flows, who knows? Look into that. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that, but it's a great option. Anyone who's just joining, by the way, I know some of you have just joined the call now. I want to let you know at the end of the call, if you do stay on to the end of the call, there are going to be a couple really cool giveaways we're going to make available to anyone who is still on the call at the end. So the next question from Mary Ellen, and then we have one coming up from Shawana. Mary Ellen's is, are the business lines of credit normally personally guaranteed since the business is so new?
It might need to be. That's going to depend on the bank that you're working with. In the beginning especially, I had a lot of things that I was personally guaranteeing. When you talk about lines of credit, it's different. It depends on the bank. I would say the short answer is probably you would need to personally guarantee it. That's normal.
If you have a history with a bank, so in my case, I did an investment. I go back about 6 years ago or so, and this wasn't in a property; it was in a business. But I walked into the bank. They knew me. They knew my track record. They knew that I'd been doing business for over 2 decades with them. And I walked in, and they gave me $30,000, and they didn't ask anything. Actually, I was in the bank for about 18 minutes, and I not only did I have access to the money, but they printed the card while I was there. So. It depends on the circumstances, your reasons for doing it, your track record. It's really a relationships game as well. If you're new into it, expect to sign personal guarantees. I signed a personal guarantee for a very sizable loan when I was getting my business, growing my business, 20 years ago. And, sometimes you do what you got to do. But, by the way, you're intending to follow through. I've never defaulted on a single loan.
Yeah, don't be so scared of putting your word on something, because if you wouldn't back you, then maybe you should question whether the deal is really something that you should be doing.
Yeah, would you bet against you? Go write that down and look at that and contemplate what that might mean. Would you bet against you being successful at this?
And it can be scary to think, hey, I just signed that if something goes wrong, then they can take my livelihood. But again, I'm going to go back to step one, foundation. That's why we set things up the way we do with LLCs, so that you'll never lose everything. You set up a foundation that is solid, then you should feel comfortable signing a personal guarantee.
Okay, so the next question, Shawana, is what if I can't afford the LLC? Okay, so there's a couple different ways of dealing with this. The first thing is I talked to you about, regardless of your situation, you need to really, and I'm going to say, I'm going to use new language here. I would highly recommend you sit down and come up with all the reasons this is something that you absolutely must have. If you want to open a business and be in business, then you do whatever it takes. And that means that, I don't know, you find a way to borrow, you find a way to add hours to your other job. If this is something that you really want, the question I would ask you, Shawana, is how bad do you want it? Because, when we talk about, a blueprint for financial freedom, it doesn't mean, and I'm not going to make assumptions. This is for everybody, okay? So this isn't just singling you out, but you did ask the question. There's no such thing as a free lunch or a free ride. If you really want this, you decide you'll have it, and then you do whatever it takes. If you saw the movie, I think it's called The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith? That's what it looks like when you see doing whatever it takes. And, someone came up to me the other day. I was at a speaking.
I love that movie. I just had to think through it in my head.
Has his son with him, too. So, I think it was Trey that was in that movie. Anyways, I had a chance to talk with Will Smith about the movie. I spent time with him, hung out with him down in Boston. This isn't name dropping. It just happens to come up. But he has very big ears. And I'm sorry, Will, if you're on this call. He's smaller than you think. He's not nearly as barrel-chested. He certainly does not look like Muhammad Ali.
He's still my favorite actor.
But he's amazing. Super inspiring. Great guy to chat with. His wife's music is intense and crazy. And she was there too. But if you really want something, you would love it. Shawana, here's what I'm going to suggest. If you can't afford the LLC, I would change your language. And so this is a coachable moment. I've had times where I say, I would love that. I can't afford that. If you hear yourself saying that, whatever you follow the I can't with, you're committing to that as what's called a limited belief. You have the ability to use your imagination. And Shawana, if you can right now, and I want you to respond to this, if you can picture yourself in your imagination having that LLC, can you picture that? Let me know right now. Can you picture having that LLC? Can you picture yourself being open for business? Can you imagine it? Can you smell it, taste it, touch it, feel it? Can you see in your imagination what it would feel like? And that's a big yes with lots of S's and an exclamation point. If you think back to what it takes to make something that isn't real, I want you to think about Martin Luther King. Quick show of hands. How many of you know who Martin Luther King Jr. is? Quick show of hands.
Dear Lord, I hope everybody.
Yeah. Look, who's paying attention? Martin Luther King Jr., do you know who he is? Raise your hand if you do.
This is a test of, yeah.
This is definitely a test of who's paying attention also. Okay, almost every hand is up. Now, here's the thing. We all know that Martin Luther King got up in front of the world and he said, I have a plan. Right? Is that what he said? I have a plan? Or did he get up in front of everyone and say, I have a dream? Right? Shawana, what did he say? Did he say, I have a plan or I have a dream? So if you have a dream, Shawana, of an LLC, of being in this business, or anyone else in this call who has doubts or fears or worries or can't picture yourself doing it, get really good at picturing it, because there's nothing in this world that you'll create that isn't first perceived by a thought in your imagination to make it real. And I tell you what, as soon as you believe it and you get certain that you will have it and you have a bigger reason for having it and you're willing to do whatever it takes, that's when things get exciting. Because when you say, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, whatever it takes, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but when you're willing to do whatever it takes, the next step will always reveal itself. Get your vision right. Get it right with all your senses so you can taste it, so you dream it. And then the next step will reveal itself. And don't say, well, I just don't know how. That's because you haven't sufficiently dreamed it yet. And when you have, you'll step up. You'll raise your standards and you'll step up. Thank you for an awesome question. Thanks for giving me the ability to share that.
And what Nate is sharing, I'm just looking through some of these other questions. That's the response to some of the other questions that are fear-based. How can, what if I can't do this? You can. If I was 18 years old and I could figure out how to raise, quite frankly, a rather spectacular young man with no clue what I was doing and willing to waitress at the Holiday Inn at 5 o'clock in the morning and put myself through school. I didn't have any parents that were, looking to foot the bill for my university. I had no idea how I was going to do it. And like Nate said, the next step will reveal itself. Take that first step and the next step will reveal itself.
And I could tell you story after story after story after story. I rented a 5 condo units for my new business when I was expanding my business. I didn't even have enough to cover the rent for 1 unit. And within 3 months, I had easily 8 times what it took, not only to rent the space, but to hire 22 employees to run my business. You gotta, if you go big, that's exciting. Mm-hmm. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Go crazy. Set a goal that's beyond anything you think you could do, and then imagine it, believe it. And guess what happens? You get so excited going after the big goal, you don't accidentally get bored by the small one.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Okay. Do you have to get an LLC in the state you live in?
So you have to pay taxes in the state that you live in. And the LLC, I'm assuming it's the case that most people will be flipping houses in the state they live in. That's not always the case. You should have an LLC in the state that your properties are in, because you usually need a business license in that state or have it be registered in that state anyway. So the short answer is you probably need an LLC in the state. Again, I'm gonna go back to I'm not giving you legal or accounting advice. But
talk to your attorney, talk to your accountant.
But have an LLC in the state that you live in and or the state that you're going to be actually holding the properties in.
Okay, so next question. Thanks, Arlene. Jana, this is your question. Still very new to the program, but you mentioned working with an investment-friendly realtor. I've taken classes. We've answered this question before, but I'm going to give you even a slight variation on the answer. I've taken classes to be a realtor, just waiting for the test. Will this be an advantage or a disadvantage? Having more information can sometimes be a disadvantage because you might accidentally think you need to have all the answers. But here's the thing. A realtor would love to do a bunch of work based on their experience of working with investors. It's very tough to read the label from inside the bottle. All right? So if your job is to be investing in real estate, it's a whole different set of skills. There's nothing better than learning the market, understanding the lingo, seeing how real estate is bought and sold, knowing what paperwork needs to happen or how to find a title company. But the fact is, good for you for expanding your knowledge. Now learn how to invest in real estate and start doing it. Congratulations for all of you who have gotten into real estate. I've talked to 8 or 9 of you very recently, finding out that, wow, I turned into a realtor. 10 or 15 years went by and I found out it had nothing to do with investing.
There's one advantage. It's nice when you can go let yourself into the properties and you don't have to wait for your realtor to meet you there. That's, to me, the biggest advantage. I'm not a realtor. I have no desire to become a realtor because I want to be focused on the flipping. And I think I would be very tempted to focus on being a realtor if that was me. So yeah, there's an advantage. You can go and look at things on the MLS. You can let yourself into the properties. You can be the first one to make the offer. You don't have to find the investor-friendly realtor. I'll tell you, my realtor that I work with several, but my number one realtor that I work with, he is far better and far more committed to being the best realtor than I ever would have the the gumption to do.
There's a lot of things I'm really good at in the business, okay? And so is Margaret. But we can't be good at everything. So find someone who's a rock star, who's world class at it. One of the things is an investor friendly realtor. You're new at it, good for you. Maybe you'll do some real estate work. But if you're going to invest, get your investor friendly realtor.
I hear far more stories from FlipChicks who become realtors that decide to not be a realtor anymore because it's distracting them. And they're like, well, why am I paying these fees to be a realtor?
Exactly. Okay, so the next question from Arlene. Thank you, Gina. What states do you buy properties in?
Us personally?
Lots of states.
Lots of states. Well, we're in Chicago. I love Midwest investing. There's huge opportunity out on the East Coast. There's great deals in Florida. My advice is start in your backyard. You know, some of you, maybe you don't have the best backyard for investing. Maybe your house prices are really inflated and you don't want to take that sort of a risk. Start in your backyard. It's always, I like to stay within 2 hours of where we live. We do have properties that are further than that, but when you get started off, you know, if you can, stay in your backyard, and 99% of the time you can stay in your backyard and do investing that way.
Okay, we're getting real close to the end of the question. So if there's any last questions you want to ask, now would be the time. We got a couple more here we're going to go through. Do you need a tax ID with the LLC and to get lines of credit?
That would be the right way to do it. So get the LLC, you'll get your EIN number, and you can use that to get the credit.
Okay, and thank you, Mary Ellen. Elvita, I hope I'm saying your name right. How to rebound after divorce, bankruptcy, and no free money or lines of credit. Okay, so that sounds like an entire very long session and a long conversation, and I'm not sure that I'm the expert to answer that from the standpoint of everything that you're dealing with.
Well, I can tell you that I've not had most investors pull my credit. Certainly, I would be upfront with somebody and let them know your circumstances and, you know, how to rebound. Well, you tell your investor how you have rebounded. Tell them the direction that you're going. Paint the picture for why the bankruptcy and the divorce have got you moving in a direction and, you know, really, really committed to making a difference and being successful in a way that you hadn't been before. No free money or lines of credit. That's okay. Nobody does. Nobody has that. You go out and you start getting it. You set up a business. You get a business line of credit. You know, it's step by step. You go through the process, step 1, step 2, you know, foundation. It's all going to be spelled no different for you.
Yep, and if you've been on the call the whole time, then you know that it's not about not having money. It's about creating a profit center, believing in yourself, painting the picture of the business opportunity, and then working with people who you trust and who trust you and are really interested in the business you're building.
And I'll share with you that the most successful FlipChicks that I work with have a story like this. The divorce was what motivated them. They weren't going to be dependent on somebody else anymore. They weren't going to let somebody else make their decisions. The bankruptcy, they realized how important it was to create income, you know, to create passive income so that they never get stuck not being able to pay their mortgage. So what you think is your challenge, let that be the motivation.
All right. Stacy asks if we're seeing your questions. Yes, we've actually asked a bunch of your questions, Stacy.
There was a lot in line.
There's a lot of questions here. So yes, we're seeing your questions, and we've been answering them in order as they've been coming in. All right. Cool. So that's good. Thanks, Stacy. You know what a wholesaler is. Tiffany, what's the best way to find an investor-friendly realtor?
Okay, there's two roles that you're going to have in working with a realtor. You're going to need a realtor who's going to find you the deals, which is not going to make the realtor a lot of money. And then you're going to be working with a realtor that can sell exceptionally well. I start with who is the top realtor in your area. So, you know, find out, call. Usually you can see, you know, who's got the most signs up. Find out what their numbers are. You're interviewing this person. How many deals have you sold? How many millions have you sold? How long have you been in business? How is your advertising? I want to find somebody who will sell my property fast and for top dollar. And if they're investor friendly, that means that even though they're kind of a bigwig in the real estate world as far as being a realtor, they're willing to make lowball offers on a bunch of houses, knowing that their money is going to come when they sell it on the flip side after it's been rehabbed.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. What'll happen is you might start talking to some people and they're like, oh, well, I don't deal with houses that are $50,000 or $25,000. Fine, you're not an investor-friendly realtor. if you just want to be selling $500,000 houses, then they're not really looking out for what's best for you.
All right.
It's kind of a short answer to that.
6 more questions, and we're going to make room for, if there's 2 more, we'll make room for 2 more questions, and then we're going to. Oh, wait a minute.
There's a lot more than 6 questions.
Whoa! We had 6, and did you see what just happened?
There's 52.
Holy cow! Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're getting right to a time. I want to make sure everyone has the chance.
We're going to go fast and go through all of them.
We're going to go fast, and then we're going to. Let me see what the last one is here. All right, so. Oh, there's so many thank yous. Okay, so a lot of these are thank yous. And
right.
Yes, the call is recorded. I'll tell you about something in a second. So we're going to make sure, I'm going to tell you this right now, we're going to make sure that you all get access to this call.
Yep.
So you get this.
All right, let's crank through.
Okay, let me jump back. And
GSD, baby, GSD.
We're going to move fast.
Get shit done.
Does your training provide a formula? This is from Stacy again, a spreadsheet for FlipChicks to come up with that offer price?
Yes.
The answer is yes, it does. And the short version is? How?
Oh, how to come up with that offer price?
Quick short version.
Well, I mean, the short version was what I said earlier. Is you start with, what are the comps? Work with a realtor to find out what's a reasonable expectation for what it can sell for, minus the holding cost, minus the rehab cost, minus what you expect to get as a profit or are willing to take as a profit, and then that's your max allowable offer. So we have a training called Max Allowable Offer.
Yep, and the idea is once you have that number, offer low. And get them to respond.
Tiffany's asking, what's a good profit margin? Frankly, in the beginning, if you make any money on your deal, I think that's a worthwhile endeavor. Ultimately, I think it's good to shoot for 25 to 30% return on investment. So if you make anything between 0 and 25 to 30%, I think that's a good thing. A lot of people, I had a conversation with somebody who's actually a family member who wanted to double his money. And I was like, dude, you're losing money right now because you're not investing it in anything. You're pissing it away. Pardon my language. And
you go, girl.
And he ended up losing about $20,000 before he finally agreed to be a hard money lender for somebody. So again, there's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of people who don't really know how to invest money that are going to be happy to get a 10% return. So what was my point? I lost my point. Good profit margins. So if you're starting out and you have an expectation that you're going to make 50% on your money, so you keep holding out and not investing versus the person who gets out there and does it and they make $2,000, I'm not putting that out there as an expectation because you really should make a lot more than that. But if you can make $2,000 and you get your first deal done and you learn from it, holy cow, the value in that is ridiculous. So shoot for whatever is the best return that you can possibly get. I like to look for 25 to 30% return if I'm flipping a house. If I'm renting, if I'm looking at rentals, I want a 12% cap rate. So decide what's your ultimate, and then decide what are the baby steps that are going to get you there.
All right, awesome. Thank you. You once mentioned, this is Rebecca. You once mentioned one way to get into the business as a newbie is to be prioritized over investors by putting in an owner-occupied offer. Does law require, however, that you therefore owner-occupy the home for a certain period of time before you rent it out as a cash flow property?
I'm going to not give legal advice. I'm going to give you 2 other answers, though. I've done this. I have properties that I own right now that were bought as owner-occupied that I never lived in, but I did intend to. And they became rentals, long-term rentals, actually. And this is not. I don't want to say like, hey, we're gonna skirt the system. We want to do things on the up and up. It's a very, very realistic and viable investment strategy to actually do that. And this is we talk about live like no one else, so you can live like no one else. We have 2 homes. One in New Hampshire, one in the Chicagoland area. And one of those we are living in as it's getting fixed up. So it's an owner-occupied property and we're living in it. So we get to buy it as owner-occupied and we get to live in it for a couple of years. You can have a second home. It's completely legit that you have a second home. So if you can buy a house as owner-occupied and get in and live in it for 2 years, you can do that, I think, very on the up and up, and honestly, every 2 years.
All right.
Short answer.
Awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. And good spelling on prioritized. Nice work. Good catch. Okay, Stacy, would you get more than one investor for a project, or is it best to try to just get one investor? The short answer is there are no hard and fast rules. Get your deal done. I personally believe that if you can have one investor, it's better than having a whole bunch because things can get confusing sometimes.
Yeah, but if you need 10 people to give you $10,000, that's totally fine too. I've done, God, what was them? I think I did like 13 investors in a property it was only $5,000 minimum because it was a really great opportunity and I didn't want to lose out on it. So I went down to, hey, get anybody in at whatever they can put into it. And then they actually split the profit. So yeah, the fewer hands in the pot, the better. But I have no problem with getting multiple investors.
Yeah, it's a great strategy. You can't get $10,000 investors, get a bunch of $2,000 investors, whatever it takes.
Can't find your friends and family or somebody else. Find some other FlipChicks who've got $5,000 or $10,000 each. You all pool together.
Never underestimate the power of the FlipChick RIA. I'm only going to say that once.
Yeah.
All right. If you've got a good deal, get on there and check it out. Share what you got.
Another question about the investment packet.
So, Arlene, if in the investment packet we answered that question already, and you'll get access to this recording, you'll find that answer earlier in the call. So, we're going to. Tiffany, what do you use as proof of funds pre-approval when you are making the offer? Good question.
So if you don't have actual proof of funds from an institution, a bank, or a hard money lender, or your own, then you can always go out and get proof of funds. I'll say this: there are people, every single person, I don't care who you are on this call, there are people out there that will give you money. Is it at the rate you want to pay? Probably not. But can you get a proof of funds letter in 20 seconds by filling out the form online? Go out to the RIA. I know Bonnie Laurenti, I think you're on the call. Hi, Bonnie. She shared a link, and there are dozens of others that you can get virtually any person can get a proof of funds letter.
All right. And Elvita?
In 20 seconds.
Thank you for being ethical. Wow, this has truly made my day. I got to tell you something. What goes around comes around. Get in alignment. Our values are every deal is a win-win. It's a win to the third. Win for you, win for the community, win for your partners. And actually, you can add a lot of other people to that who are going to move into the flip. So you right on. Judy?
It feels good to do the right thing. My gosh, you got to sleep at night. And I love knowing that in my rental properties, I'm doing everything I can so that people can live in a safe environment and have affordable housing. I feel good knowing that I fixed up somebody's house, to make it a home, that I'm making a difference in a neighborhood. It's, oh my gosh, the value in that. We talk about, again, the legacy. What is the legacy that we're leaving? It's not to have the biggest pile of cash.
Can I just tell you how awesome it is? I mean, on this call, we've got San Francisco, we've got Texas, we've got Chicago, New Hampshire, Florida. We've got people all over the country, California, Washington State. This has been an amazing turnout from you women all over the country, and this is really exciting. The question next is from Judy. Thanks, everyone, again for being here. We're almost done the questions, and then we'll share what we're going to do next. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area and would love to work here. Permits can take forever to pull for remodels, making the flip take longer. Are markets like mine still a good investment?
The short answer is yes. There's a lot of people investing in the San Francisco Bay Area. The permits, as we come off of our ethics conversation, I don't always pull permits. I mean, it's one of those things that yes, we should. And sometimes we ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
We're also big fans of smaller government, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So bureaucracy doesn't help a flip chick.
The most important thing is your market still a good place? Absolutely.
Awesome.
And the permits might make it a little bit more painful, or you might have to do things, a little bit different. But yes.
Get creative, get to work. Awesome. Good question. Thanks, Judy. And it's exciting to have you on the call. That's so cool. Hi to everyone in San Francisco. There's a few of you here. Christy, awesome. Is there a form or contract for the finance inspection contingency?
Yeah, that'll be on your realtor's contract. So that'll be on your purchase agreement.
Your realtor, your investor-friendly realtor, has been to this dance already, so they'll loop you right in on that. Awesome.
Yeah, and an attorney can write something up that can really make it very easy to get out.
By the way, when you talk about someone who steps up and is going to rock as a flip chick, I just want to let you know, keep your eye out for Christy. she's absolutely stepping up at an amazing level. So right on, Christy, way to go. Shawana, where should I start first to get everything going without any money?
Step one, foundation.
Yep. We've already step one in foundation, and we already kind of talked about that in deals and when it came to a belief in yourself and getting over the fear and taking the next step. How bad do you want it? Go out and get it.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a written in my office at the house here, a sign. I had somebody working for me that often said things like, "Are you sure we can afford this? Is this, some of these questions that are normal?" And we wrote down on a large piece of paper, "Money flows freely and easily." And I said, whenever you have that thought come in, don't talk to me. Go read that sign.
All right, we're getting right down to it. Thanks for your question, Shawana. Tiffany, thank you. You rock. Well, you rock, Tiffany, and you are welcome.
1, 2, 3, you rock.
All right. Lots of yeses in your welcomes. Thank you, Arlene. Shauna, what's the best way to get in touch with a coach to get help? You are in touch with a coach, and you are getting help right now.
Again, everybody should be on the RIA. That's a really great free resource.
And when you're ready, if you're not in the program, Shawana, there's an opportunity to, learn about how to get on the program. You can go to flipchickcoaching.com/webinar and how bad do you want it? So we're just going to keep going back to that. We are doing it in the most simple, easy to understand, help you get through it, empowering way. And we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it so that you can go out and have the financial freedom. And basically that's what this is all about. So get a bigger reason, make it count, go after it, Shawana. All right, Stacy. When you get the money from the private investors, do they, quote, physically give you the money? Good question.
That's a really good question. So in a perfect world, you get the commitment from the investor and you have it go into an escrow account. It could be either with your attorney or, maybe you have a joint account with the person. First best way to do it would be in an escrow account with an attorney. I can tell you that I had an investor that I worked with. It was our third or fourth deal that we were doing together. And the night before, he was lined up. We'd looked at the property together. He was supposed to wire $100,000 in the morning. Called him, said in the morning, we'd met the night before. Everything was kosher. The next morning, haven't seen it go through. He didn't return my text message. We only have a couple hours till the closing. Haven't seen the funds go through. He calls me up finally. He said, I changed my mind. Day of closing. And so, it would have been nice if I'd had that money physically sitting there. And you can tell the rest of the story.
Yeah, you go ahead.
We'll see. So this was a few years ago when Nate and I were just dating, and I called him up, like really just dating. And I called him up. I was like, "You're not going to believe what happened." And again, we all have freak out moments. I said, "You're not going to believe what happened. I've got a closing. I have $6,000 or $7,000 of earnest money down. I'm going to lose it. They are not going to extend it." I was freaking out. And he said, "Well, how much do you need? I'll wire it to you." And then I thought, this man is crazy. I should probably marry him. So I did. But he wired me the money.
I didn't buy this marriage. I just want to make that clear. I know it just really sounded like that. We were already very much in love at the dating stage. I think we could both agree it was love at first sight. Would you agree?
Sure.
All right. So it had nothing to do with that, but I was glad to help because you know what? I've trusted her the whole time. Okay.
Janine.
Or just booyah. Okay, one of our FlipChick pros. You're getting a house under contract. You're going to have your first house by the end of the month. You're awesome. Yay. Wholesale deal in Baltimore. I know we've covered this in prior trainings. You're awesome. Just going to throw that in. But you can give me a quick overview. You're awesome. Of what I need to be doing. Good job. You're so awesome. Right now I'm ready to start rehabbing once the house is officially mine. So there's the imagination going in. You see it yours. That's awesome. I just want to make sure I'm on the right
So get
track.
The contractors out there right now. So while you've got it under contract before you close on it, you want to get the contractors out there, get your scope of work done, and make sure that you have a plan and follow the timeline. That's all part of the training that you're already part of. So it's going to be easy for you to just go out to Kajabi and get access to those things. Have it set up. Have all of your contractors lined up, hired, on the schedule so that as soon as you close. So here's, I'm notorious for, I will have the dumpster delivered before we actually close, and I'll have guys gunning a place. And my realtor and my attorney have often said, like, "What are you thinking? You don't actually own that house yet." Nothing, short of that. Don't do that. I don't recommend doing that because sometimes it can be kind of scary. But have everything lined up, literally down to the hour. so you can get in and you can get out as fast as possible.
We went down to a property. We changed the locks, set up the dumpster, and had the demo already in the house, and it wasn't under contract until the 2 days afterwards. And anyways, it became
meaning closed. It was under contract before that.
I mean, closed. Okay.
We weren't gutting somebody else's house.
Right. So,
but that's it. Get the guys lined up. Who you're going to be hiring. Make sure you get your 3 bids at least. Get everything. There's some things that you might have a little bit of lead time. Pick out the floors that you need if you've got cabinets. This is why I recommend doing mostly in stock for everything. So don't get too attached to, I want it to be exactly this kitchen set or this appliances or whatever. Get a plan for what you can use in stock and get in, get out. Boom. Next one. FlipChick extraordinaire.
Make sure you look at your scope of work and checklist, contractor checklist. Go back to those. You know how to reach us if you, I can't remember where you put it, but you're going to need that. So
also some of the things that, again, this is all on a checklist, but make sure that you've got a call into your insurance company. Make sure that you have it on your schedule to switch out the utilities. These are all little things, but just follow the checklist.
All right, we're getting right down to it. Here we go. Shawana says, yes. Okay, any celebrations or yaps from the rooftops? I hope this call has been helpful. We're just getting close to wrapping it up. Mindset training is awesome. Stacy, you're awesome.
Oh my gosh, there's so much value in the mindset.
Get into the Power Week training. There's so much on this course. I mean, by the way, Janine is in the RIA. So any of you who are not in the RIA yet, Janine, you let us know, by the way, would you be willing to share insight about this process, what you've been facing, how you got to this point now that you're about to have your first successful flip, because you're on your way. Are you going to share with other women who just joined the RIA to help them if they ask questions? We keep telling them that we've got these rock stars in the program. You're one of them. So you've gotten help and you've shared in the RIA. We've answered your questions. Go ahead and share what you would tell other women who haven't gone in there yet. Shawana says, I have a dream. All right. Lorna says, good stuff. Thank you. We agree. And we're really psyched. You know what? Between the student and the teacher comes the teaching. We couldn't be teaching this without you asking the questions. So we are humbled. Stacy, should I use my self-directed IRA to put up my earnest money?
So there's a company, it's called G.I.F.T.S that we recommend. They're the authority in how you can use your self-directed IRA. So I recommend, we actually have a training with them at somewhere. But G.I.F.T, Google G.I.F.T, call them, mention our names.
Mention FlipChicks, mention us, okay? Lorna, is this call recorded? Yes, everyone will get a copy of it. So check your email after the call. We'll make sure you get it by tomorrow. Stacy, don't you need good credit to get a business line of credit? If she filed bankruptcy, can she get
the line of credit? Yes, she can.
Yep. Short answer is yes. That's a longer story, and we're wrapping up in a couple minutes here, so we're almost at the punchline.
And remember, a line of credit is just one potential way to get money. So there's dozens. So whatever, we can all, no matter who you are, have access to money. Maybe it's not going to be the traditional way. Maybe it's not going to be, with the a mortgage from a bank. It's not going to be, there's always a way. There's always a way. So even if let's say the answer is no, I really screwed up bad and I've every possible, bad financial decision I've made and it's on my permanent record and I can't get a line of credit, guess what? There's still hard money lenders.
Yep. And when you have a track record of getting stuff done, we normally say getting shit done, making flips work and being successful, guess what? Everyone wants some of the action. So you know what? There's no such thing as damaged goods if you're out there making it happen with integrity. Alvita says
that's the key. Do it with integrity.
Yep, absolutely. In alignment. Okay, thank you so much. That's a lot of O's, and you are welcome. I can't tell you how much what you said is true. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. All right. Who is it? How do I say this? Is this Jean Edimo? Am I saying that right? Jean? I don't know if I'm saying it right. I hope I am. Jeannie. Thank you very much. You are welcome. And I probably said your name completely wrong, but thank you so much. Yeah, correct us. I am a student. You're a student. Okay, Mary Ellen, I'm so grateful that we've crossed paths. Looking forward to the future. Thanks for your generosity.
We are also grateful.
We are incredibly grateful, and you are welcome. I'm really glad you're here. Thanks for stepping up, asking more questions than anyone. Mary Ellen, where's the FlipChick RIA? Is that a Facebook group? Yes. Go to FlipChick, our Real Estate Investment Association. You can type it right in. It'll pop up. Get in there. Or
if you go to flipchickcoaching.com, I think there's a link there too.
Yep, there's a link on the top of the site as well. Arlene said you're welcome. That's a lot of your welcomes. And cool. Janine, of course. Janine is willing to answer your questions
Janine,
in the RIA.
We love you.
And okay, one of the 4 ways I said Jean or Jeannie's name is correct. Give me the phonetic version. I don't know which one it was. I tried too many. Janine, you're awesome. And Janine says, I would tell everyone to just do it! Exclamation point, exclamation point. This has been a want for me since 2012, and now because I'm in this group, FlipChick stepped up to the highest level. I finally took real action. Yay.
Yay for you.
You're awesome. Go post that on the Facebook page, Janine, if you would.
I love Janine. She has
awesome.
Such great energy.
Love the time we've had together, the work you're doing. You're a case study of making it happen and stick-to-itiveness. Way to go. And thanks, Gene. So that is all the questions. We've gotten through it all. By the way, I wish that we could have one more question so we can say we had 60 questions because there were 59 questions and comments and statements. I hope, tell us your feedback. I hope you love the call. We are going to, I'm going to tell you that we are going to give all of you the wholesaler cheat sheet so you'll know how to get a wholesaler, which is where you find some of the best deals. And we're also, and these are the questions you can ask the wholesaler to make sure you got the right person. We're also going to give you access to Finding the Money training along with the workshop worksheets. So you can find out, creatively come up with dozens of ways to find the money. So how many of you would celebrate getting access to how to get the money? Isn't that what everybody wants? You let me know, quick show of hands. How many of you would like access to how to get the money? We'll give you that training. We're not going to charge you for it. I will tell you how you get access to that. So watch your email. That's almost all the hands have gone up. Okay. And for those of you who are not in the program, I'm just going to remind you, you can go to flipchickcoaching.com/webinar. Go through the webinar. Get a little bit more insight into the story.
We dig a little deeper into the blueprint in that webinar.
Yep. And you also learn where Margaret came from. You learn a little bit of who I am. You're going to learn more. You've also learned more.
What planet I came from.
What planet we came from. Why we're here doing this. And also, frankly, there's, you get in there, you get on that list, you're going to gain access and opportunities that are far beyond even what we're talking about tonight. Because you know what? We've made the mistakes. We've been through the process. Margaret's done it. She did it the hard way. She's learned it, so you don't have to learn the hard way. So we're going to give you those items for free. And
question number 60.
All right, good job, Mary Ellen. Question number 60. At what point will you start teaching your son that FlipChicks are awesome? We are already teaching him that. We didn't even have to say anything. Sometimes actions speak louder than words, and he's got the most amazing mom. And I know I'm an honorary FlipChick. Anyway, so we will teach him that FlipChick. Have I pulled it off? Have I pulled off being a FlipChick here?
You're a good flip dude.
I just need to know for sure. If I'm pulling off the FlipChick thing, to be the CEO, be a part of this has been a huge honor. Working with my wife, working with Margaret, I'm so inspired by this. It's awesome that you're all here. This has been an awesome call. We've got Stacy said, are some of these already in the program?
Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes, and but we're going to give you access to some more as well. We'll throw in some bonuses if you're already in the program. If you're not, go find out about it. Get in it. And you're welcome, Stacy, Mary Ellen, a given, absolutely. Over and out, awesome call. Wow. Anything else you want to add?
Offer strategy sessions.
Oh, how would you like to?
I'm always giving my husband away for free to you guys.
Okay. The best way to do this, how do we want to do it?
I think that my husband is amazing, especially when it comes to some of the mindset stuff. And I saw a lot of these questions that
we're going to do a huge giveaway right now.
A lot of the questions were not the tactical. They weren't the, hey, how do you do the flipping? It's, how do I really have the faith in myself? I see that in a lot of women, frankly, most of the women, that if you just had the belief, the steps are easy, the blueprint is easy to follow. The hard part, and it really just takes the coaching, is having the mindset right. How do you get past the challenges that happen between your ears? So I think my personal opinion is one of the most valuable things that we could give away is a strategy session with Nate to talk about some of that mindset stuff.
All right. So
I say this and knowing that we have a 4-week-old baby and he doesn't sleep much, but
me or the baby?
Yes.
Okay. So, because I'm super committed, we're a team here. Thank you.
I think there are a lot of people on the call that I believe that strategy session would be the most valuable thing to really get them to have that trajectory, to have that momentum moving forward.
All right. So we got some more quick comments. I'm going to make available. Do we want to do an email? I got to come up with a way to do this.
Listen, you're the technical guy.
Okay. Here's what we'll do. I'm going
figure it out. See, this is how it is, girls. Here,
Okay.
This is what I want, honey. And your honey could be your contractor, your husband, your banker, your anybody.
Let's make sure that I don't even know. I don't even know if anyone wants this. So let me ask: how many of you on this call would actually like to have a free strategy coaching call with me? Have an opportunity to sign up for a free strategy call, and leave your hands up. Don't take your hands down. I want to see if anyone actually wants access to a free strategy call.
Of course they do. That's why all these hands are
up. There's a lot of hands. That's a lot of calls. I really want to help. I'm going to make this available for free. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to email me.
That's a good idea. Because if you can't take the initiative, then I say this with love, don't waste his time.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to email me. And in the subject line, I want you to say free strategy call with Nate. So I know that it's you. Okay. Free strategy call with Nate. Email me at nate@flipchickcoaching.com. I just gave out my email address.
He doesn't normally do that.
nate@flipchickcoaching.com. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to, if you say that you want, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a link so you will have access to a free strategy coaching call. And I don't care what your situation is. I'm going to tell you right now, I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of what's possible for you. If you think it's impossible, we're going to eliminate all your experiences that have created your knowledge of what's impossible. And we're going to reset your understanding of where possible comes from. So if you don't know it's not impossible, then possible becomes possible. All right? That's what we're going to do. You're going to learn that. No matter how stuck you are, Shawana, if you're not on that call with me, you're crazy. You think you want to go out and get an LLC? I'm going to tell you this. You can go get it tomorrow. The question is, do you believe that you can? All right? I'm going to email everybody out as well, an invitation with a link. I'm going to be looking for how fast you email me with that subject line that you want a strategy call. And now that is our call.
I'll tell you guys that Nate puts his heart and soul. You know, he has some coaching calls that are supposed to be 20 minutes, 90 minutes later, he's still giving his all because he will give to you what is necessary if you're willing to step up and you're willing to take the initiative and frankly take the responsibility.
Margaret knows what I used to charge for a coaching call one-to-one, which I actually don't do anymore. And let's just say that, and this isn't like patting myself on the back and telling you how valuable I am. I'm telling you right now, I'm giving this to you because of how valuable you are to us.
This is our way of giving back, and it feels good.
So there's your financial freedom blueprint. There's your FlipChick financial freedom roadmap. Thank you for an awesome call. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for everything. Thanks for the opportunity to serve you. And everyone, go and make it an amazing evening. Dream bigger than you've been dreaming. Do something extraordinary.
Give us a shout out on the RIA. Say hi to us and ask more questions there. We're happy to answer.
Talk about what this call has meant to you. Go tonight. Go. What's the power of one? Go inspire one woman with how you feel right now about your ability to move forward with what you've learned on this call tonight. Go inspire someone. Go share a post about what we've just done and share the link to do this. Share the link to flipchickcoaching.com/webinar, and maybe someone else will go down the same path so they can be inspired too.
Maybe somebody else who's got some money to partner with you.
You never know. The more, the merrier. We're on a mission to change the world. This year, we're going to reach 1 million FlipChicks.
Woohoo.
We're going to reach 1 million FlipChicks. All right. You can be a part of that success. flipchickcoaching.com/webinar. Go share it. Talk about this free call. Talk about what it meant to you. What stuck out? What were your distinctions? What inspired you? And go have an amazing evening. Look at this. Everyone is still on listening to us share.
Love you, girls.
You guys are awesome. Have a great night.
Thanks for spending the night with us.